boy Russ and Brandon back with another episode of the Born Ready Podcast. So today we got a special guest, Ms. Turner, with us. So, before we get into it, tell us a little bit about yourself, and what you actually do.
Okay, so I go by Ms. Turner, but my name is Nikita. I'm from Los Angeles, California. I do car rentals and Airbnb. So, and I also utilize social media to teach people and inspire people on how to become entrepreneurs and for people to understand that a 9-to-5 is not the only way to live.
A lot of people ask me about rentals and different things like that, so I want you to take us into your journey about what we were doing before you kind of got into this and how you kind of stumbled into this business and now you're really just doing your thing going crazy.
So before becoming an entrepreneur, before the car rentals and stuff, I actually was like most people. I graduated high school. I went to Cal State Dominguez Hills here in California. So I actually have a bachelor's degree. So initially I thought that, like everybody else, go to school, get a degree, get a job, work, retire, right?
Right.
But when I graduated when I graduated college and I got my degree, I came to learn, it was kind of a slap in the face. It wasn't what people projected it to be. It wasn't like once you get your degree, you're kind of set. I feel like
the American dream.
Yeah, the American
college.
dream. When I thought, once I got my degree, it was kind of like, I'll be set, but it was really nothing like that at all.
What did you get?
Criminal justice.
Criminal justice. Okay.
Lawyer.
So criminal justice, but I had a very difficult time even finding a job in my field. So I tried for about a year or two, couldn't find anything, worth it or solid enough. So I just worked regular jobs. The most that I ever made at a job was like $17 an hour.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So before being an entrepreneur, the most that I ever made was $17 an hour. So that's like $1,300 every 2 weeks after taxes. And I look back and I'm like, that's breadcrumbs that they were giving me.
That is breadcrumbs.
And so, so I was working regular jobs. I was working for a contractor when I got fired. And that's what launched me into entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, I have no job to rely on anymore. I have to rely on myself now because I could have got another job, but it's like, dang, I'm gonna always have this problem of relying on someone else for my income.
Yeah.
And it was like a real eye opener because like I don't want this to ever happen again. I don't want somebody to take the food off my plate just like that. So I started learning and educating myself on Toro. I bought a course. I bought an $800 course for Toro.
Investment. Yeah.
Yeah, investing. And a lot of people, I also sell courses in mentorship. Yeah. People can learn from me. Yeah. And, sometimes I'll get comments saying like, oh, it's a scam or, oh, you want to take people's money. But no, like, how are you going to learn?
Right.
From, you can go on YouTube. People say there's YouTube, but there's only so much you can learn on YouTube.
I swear.
Yeah.
And it's different when you actually get to talk to a person and actually ask them specific questions. Like, you play basketball, right?
Yeah.
If you can pay, who's your favorite basketball?
Man, that's one of my favorites is Isaiah Thomas because he's small but he balls, or like John Moran is tough too. He's athletic.
Right, and if he had a mentorship where you can one-on-one learn from him, talk to him.
That is actually crazy.
Wouldn't you want to pay that?
And I tell people that too because I remember in my first business venture that I really took off. It was network marketing, and then the thing was we had a lot of different packages and different things strategies that you could use to make money and learn financial literacy. And I had that same objection. People were like, oh, why should we pay this and that? But at the same time, people are paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to college to not even be guaranteed a job. And it's like you pay for what you see value in. So
yes.
I feel that 100%.
So, and then, I also, don't get me wrong, there are scams out there.
Yeah.
But people have to do their due diligence, right? There are real people out there who are genuine and want to help other people, like myself. So even me, I paid $4,000 for a mentorship.
Yeah.
So I paid for that $800 course. I found somebody that I know, like, and trust, right, off the social media, and I paid him $4,000. Never met him a day in my life, but that's we're in 2022,
Yeah.
the age of internet.
Yeah.
You know, like there's millionaires on Instagram trying to teach you what they do.
Yeah.
Real life. I've networked with millionaires all off the internet, and I'm able to learn from them. And it's been a journey. And I think also one thing that people need to understand is, I feel like when people buy a course or a mentorship, they feel like they're going to be where I am by next week.
Yeah.
And
Right,
it doesn't
right.
work like that. You still have to put in your own work, your own journey. I'm just here to give you the information and the knowledge and let you know the mistakes that I've made so that you don't make it, so that your journey can be a little easier. But it's still going to be a journey. So
Yeah.
I think that's what people need to understand as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk to us about Turo. Like, how was your experience and how did you go? Because I know you do private rentals.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot from you. I've seen a lot of your stuff as well. Like, how was it with Turo compared to now doing your private rentals, and how do you successfully like get to that point where you would actually do it privately? You don't have to rely on Turo and getting. They take out a lot of money out of every single booking. So how do you do that? Transition?
So, first of all, anybody who's watching this who's interested in getting into car rentals, first I recommend starting on Turo first. So I wouldn't recommend anyone jumping straight into private rentals.
Yeah.
I teach Turo on my platform because it's training wheels, right?
Right.
It's training wheels for, you know, if you actually want to take it there to having your own company. So I started on Turo, and I had like, at one point I grew my fleet to like 7 cars.
Yeah.
So when I was on Turo, I had a couple cars on there. And the thing I like about Turo is they find you the customers, they do the marketing, they do a lot of the work,
Yeah.
right? That you
Right.
have to do yourself
Yeah.
once you become private.
Yeah.
So that's why I say start with Turo. But yeah, so pretty much I ended up getting kicked off of Turo.
How'd you get kicked out? How do you,
Yeah,
first
how'd
of
you
all,
get kicked off?
kicked out for Turo? That's crazy.
I honestly couldn't really tell you. They just kicked me off one day. And the thing about Turo is it's so, you can't get in contact with a real person. Everything
No.
is via email.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah, so it was so annoying. And they pretty much, I could never get in contact with the actual person, but via email they just told me like, this is our final decision based off like our policies or whatever. They didn't give me an actual like,
Damn.
Man.
but it another problem for me, right?
Right.
It's like, you know, we were saying earlier, you're gonna run into constant problems as an
Yeah.
entrepreneur. It doesn't matter what you do. So I'm like, dang, I have these cars. I have like 4 or 5 cars at this point. So I still have to pay 4 or
Pay
5 car
notes.
notes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my, what am I gonna do? So, and it's important to switch your mindset to a solution-based mindset, right? So most people think about the problem, like they'll encounter this problem and they'll be like, man, like I quit or it's over. You know, they'll just throw in the towel.
Yeah.
But you know, that wasn't my mindset. So I'm like, okay, well, the only other option is to go private. So I
Yeah.
kind of had to just jump into that. And luckily, I actually had like a mentor at the time. He was more like a friend,
Yeah.
and he actually did the private rentals. So I was able to get some knowledge and information from him.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important
Yeah.
to be around like-minded people.
Yeah.
Right.
Be around people who are actually doing more than you.
Yeah.
So I just started doing the private rentals.
Yeah.
And you know, one thing that really helped me out was while I was doing Turo, I started my documenting everything on social
Yeah.
media.
You got to do that. Yeah.
So by the time I got kicked off of Turo, people already knew me for for car rentals through Turo, right? So I just continued to market myself, and so now people are contacting me directly, which they
Yeah.
already were, but I would just send them the Turo link,
Yeah.
right? But now I can do it privately, and so I started actually making more money because
Right.
I have
Yeah,
Turo's
you-
not
They
taking.
take away like a big percentage,
do.
like, you know. And it's another thing with Turo. I'm not gonna lie, something happened one day. One time on Turo, it's a crazy little story. My car got like broken into and all types of crazy stuff. And like you have to do claims, and sometimes like Turo not gonna pay you sometimes. So luckily, you know, we worked something out on the side, and he ended up paying me. But you have to do this business in a certain type of way. And I wanted to ask you, like, what is like the best way to like start a fleet? If somebody wants to start a Turo fleet, I know there's different plays like with credit and things like that, or cash, or buy here, pay here. Like, what, like in your experience, what do you think is a good way to like start up your fleet for somebody who may not have too much money, but maybe has like okay credit, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, so that was